is Ruel's Running Podcast, a podcast about running, health, family, play, and an NSNG lifestyle. And now, here's your host, Ruel.
Excuse me as I rock on. That's Went Away by Dorothy Lane. Dorothy Lane out of Martinez, California. That's out of the Cut and Dry album. Check them out at DorothyLaneMusic.com. Yeah. Hello, world. Welcome back. I'm your host, Rue. How's everybody doing? It's the podcast. If you are a return listener, welcome back. Thanks for tuning back in. I honestly don't know why. If you are a new listener, welcome. I appreciate you taking the time to stumble upon this silly show. And it really is. It's a waste of electricity. Yeah, I have a little throaty thing going. It's remnants of the flu that I was dealing with about a month ago. Yeah, I got hit pretty hard. Wasn't happy about it. So, I'm alive. Just dealing with the throaty. It's like I drank a cup of frogs. You may hear the road noise in the background. You may not. It's okay. So, yeah, what's going on? What is going on? Yeah, a lot's gone on. It feels the past month, it's like social, emotional struggles, being exhausted, just all over the place, and, trying to find spots to sort of take care of myself, as they say, self-care. Yeah. So it's the weekend, and it's actually Friday, and it's a day dedicated for self-care. It's a no-work Friday. So if you don't, at least personally, at this point in my life, it's more important to be able to find those opportunities. It's just because there's just so much going on, right? Me trying to figure out, how do I do things that interest me, that excite me, that make me feel good about myself, like accomplished or whatnot, or satisfy my curiosities and whatnot. Just, my younger self would have been just get out of bed, and not have to think about anything other than myself and my wife, and that's it. And, when you focus on just one other individual, it really is easy to get in a pattern. But I have like 3 kids, and what I'm learning, and thank God that I've had to grow into these kids, because if I would just dump 3 kids today and at the ages they are in, I'd really be having a hard time. Don't get me wrong. I mean, I manage. My wife and I manage. and we love being parents. But man, so yeah, it's just now, I'm imagining my former self in my 20s living in an apartment with my wife, when we may not have been married at the time. Yeah, we weren't married at the time, and we were just kind of focused on, at least my view was, in my 20s, I'm trying to be grown up, trying to figure out what it means to have a career, trying to hold a job and wonder whether or not that's aligned with what my career would be, and go to school at the same time. So it's when you're in your 20s, at least for me, it's pretending to be grown up, right? But you're really still young and pretty dumb. Physically, you're in a body of an adult, but really, really trying to struggle to figure out, where you belong, what you're going to be, what you're going to do, what's it all, how do you identify, how do you identify yourself, as in those conversations when people say, hey, so, what do you do, and a lot of times people are pressured to describe what they do with leaning towards sort of justifying where you're at, or even hyping what you do so that you don't have to deal with trying to justify where you're at. If that makes any sense. And then you get to a point where you just don't want to talk about what you do. If you're ever in that social situation, like, what do? You don't even volunteer. You don't even, I don't know. I don't volunteer I don't even ask the question of others, so what do you do, right? Unless I really need to know for some reason, because they're just really that interesting. But for small talk, I don't really care to ask, like, so what do you do? Because, if people want to tell me what they do, then let them do it when they're willing. But, my thought is, then if I ask that, then it opens up for me to talk about what I want to do. But I don't feel like talking about what I do and and all that stuff. Yeah, catch me on a bad day or a bad night, and I'll tell you everything that I do. Like, wait a minute, but you're on a podcast. Don't you often talk about what you do, you idiot? Yeah, it's not the same. I don't tell you what my job is. I don't tell you a whole lot of, what stuff I do on the side, and I don't do it in a way to try to substantiate my existence. Right? Just passing through. I happen to be doing a few things, just passing through. I'll be gone at some point, so don't worry about it. So yeah, it's been up and down. Things have been hectic, work-wise, family-wise, business-wise, so many areas. It's just so important to find, like, this moment, I'm on the road, I'm not working, I have to deliver something, and this is a great opportunity for me to turn on the mic and, talk stuff, talk story. Yeah. But, I took down some notes early on about, stuff that I could talk about on the podcast. I thought it was pretty cool. It was stuff that really I felt strongly about it at sometimes, or stuff that I was really just interested in, but that was like a month ago, and again I got sick and had to deal with a lot of stuff. I mean, it's nothing like being exhausted from work, but now you're exhausted and you've gotten the flu, right? And you need time off. And you take that time off, but then you come back because there's just so much to do, but you're still trying to recover from being so wiped out. It's just, that's sort of what I've had to deal with, and then not to mention the things that are concerned, with family and stuff, one kid have to, fight a battle with the school around his homework and lack of communication, and then another kid, who has extracurricular activities, getting that kid to where they need to be, and having to volunteer at the school for these events, and that taking time, having those responsibilities, and it's exhausting, right? Just constantly on the move, with the energy, without the energy, sick or not. Then you throw in sort of, dealing with people's personalities and things, and having to cope with my emotions and myself. It's like, yeah, God, man, it's tough. So, all that to say, I'm not perfect. And as hard as things can get, things can also get pretty awesome. And if we just remember that, difficult times come and go. They pass. And anyways, I don't know. I'm just kind of just trying not to crash this car. I'm getting to where I need to get. I'm heading towards the bridge, guys. Ugh. And it's a Friday, so, and in the past, getting on the road this day of the week was a concern because of traffic, but things have changed with people having the option to work remote. They're having to pick and choose the days that they feel is smartest as far as working from home, which means there are other days in the week that are bad days to be on the road, because every other half time remote worker is deciding all at the same time to go into the office on that particular day, like a Tuesday or a Thursday. Stay off the road on those days. It used to be Monday and Friday, but I think the remote workers have decided, I'm just going to work remote Monday and Friday. Wouldn't you? I don't know. So, right now, not too bad. Yeah. Oh. So, I don't understand. I'm just jumping all over the place. I don't understand the word bro or bruh, and how that it's utilized. I mean, I know that bro is short for brother, right? And bruh is just a variation of bro. Just like brother, right? Or brother, bro, brah, brother, you know. But I'm trying to, you know, this day and age, you have like girls hanging out with girls and calling each other bro, right? You, my daughter, my young daughter, I mean, she says bruh, but it's kind of okay because she's the only girl and she has 2 older brothers. But I'll definitely I think it's weird if she's hanging out with her friends or female friends and calling each other bruh, you know. What I figure it has to do is, you know, there's a lot of YouTube videos that my kids like to watch, and they're around video games, video game play, and they're often, I don't know if, there's always commentary with these videos, not narratives, but, you know, the game player, the video producer is playing the game and talking through what they're doing. It's kind of like if you were hanging out with a friend who's playing a game and they're pretty talkative about what they're doing, and you're there watching them play and listen and hearing them talk. It's kind of like that, but you know, but now you can actually watch gameplay in the comfort of your own home through streaming services like YouTube. And you know, it's these game players that my kids don't know, or these YouTube, you know, personalities, if you will, or I don't know if you want to call them influencers, you know, but you know, however they end up talking is going to influence how your kids talk. So I think that's kind of where that stuff stems from. You know, even in the gameplay, you know, there may be that language used when you've got a bunch of people playing the same game and they're making comments, you know. It's so weird. And sometimes I'll correct them, like, you're talking to a girl and you called her bruh, right? Really isn't right. Yeah. Silly, bruh. Anyways. So, you guys familiar with Nextdoor? Nextdoor, the website. It's kind of like community-based. I have an account and I've gone on just to see kind of what's going on around where I live, what people have to say. And I don't go in and spend a whole lot of time. Often it's either it's like an email that, or a notification for the app that gets my attention. You know, not all of them. You know, but lately it's been stupid stuff. I don't know. It's like it's almost like Ring, you know, where they're really people are making big deals out of stuff that really aren't big deals. I don't know. With Nextdoor, it's something like you know, the panhandlers are back over at the Safeway supermarket over in whatever, right? It's like, okay. I just wasted my time reading that. You know, or the panhandlers are back, you know, but they're not, you know, and they claim that this is their situation, but I know it's fake because later in the day I was watching them and they got into an escalade. You know, like, yeah, okay, I can see that. I could also see that happening, right? then I realized, next door is like, it's like really old people social media, right? They don't want to get on Facebook or Instagram, and they want to relate or communicate with folks who are in the community only. And, and because they're of an older generation, the things that piss them off, are, to me, kind of like, huh? Really? I don't need to hear that. I don't need to know that. Oh, and stuff like, it really pisses me off, and this is true too, right? I feel the same way, is when people don't pick up after their dogs. It's like, oh, God. And then you just do a whole bunch of these stupid things of people expressing themselves on that platform, and it's like, God, why am I on here? I mean, I like it when it's kind of used as a public service alert sort of thing, not about people not picking up their dog crap, but more like, okay, there's a murder suspect in town, right? And it was spotted around, or the reports were there around certain areas, please stay indoors. That's useful, right? That's useful. But the post where someone takes a picture of a car and says, "Dear driver of this car, I don't appreciate you driving so close to me," or "I don't appreciate how you were swerving. You're driving very recklessly and you might hurt somebody, and if you don't stop, I'm going to report you." It's like, you're writing a love letter to a motorist you don't know and posting that stuff on Nextdoor. It's like, yeah, well, I guess people have to cope with situations in life, and that's just their way and their outlet. It's like a podcast. Damn it. Yeah, so anyways, there are times where I feel like it's just toxic, and I just let it go. Yeah, that's just my thought. Anyways, what's cooking, y'all? What is cooking? Well, how about steak, 3 runny eggs in a bowl, and because I'm for two things. Because one, I'm Asian, and 2, I'm not interested in being in deep ketosis. Right? Can you guess what else is in that bowl? You're racist. Yes, it's rice. A little bit of rice, white rice, butter, and olive oil and salt. Yeah, and why not? I'll just kind of like throw it all in the same bowl and let it figure out where they all want to hang out. And at the end of the day, they'll just all end up in my tummy. Yeah, I'll keep steaks in the fridge, ready to go. And I'll just throw them on a hot iron pan and get them good. Salt, maybe some butter on it while it's doing its thing. Set that aside to rest. Then I won't really clean out the pan. I'll just crack and drop in some eggs in there and let them cook sunny side up. Yeah, and some more salt. Speaking of, I think that's all I have for what's cooking right now. But speaking of, it really makes me sad when I'm around friends, other people, and children who are concerned about their salt, or buying products and the amount of salt in the products. It really makes me sad because if, for folks who've listened to me talk about, nutrition and diet and stuff early on in this podcast, you know that it isn't an issue, and you do need salt, you do need sodium, right? And when you eat a clean or cleaner diet, well, wait a minute, Rue, what do you mean by clean? Because, yeah, you're right. I realize that everybody has a different interpretation or definition of what eating clean is. Someone thinks eating a bowl of oatmeal is clean, right? Okay, so what I mean by clean is you're not eating processed foods, like a ton of processed foods. Why? Because often the processed foods are high in carbs, right? And so you were talking about sodium and salt, and how does that relate to carbs? Well, it does, right? When you eat a ton of carbs, right? When those carbs get stored in whatever, in your body, in your cells and whatnot, often it's bound to water, right? And somehow salt plays a part in all of that, right? What is it, retention? I don't know. But guess when you eat clean and you've got no more processed foods, or you've reduced it greatly, and which means you're now having the least amount of carbs that you've had ever. Not to mention a lot of the processed foods are gonna have higher sodium anyways, right? So yeah, sodium can be a problem if all you're eating is crap, if you're not eating a clean diet. But if you are eating a clean diet, let's say you're just eating, some whole food, we're talking proteins, we're talking steaks, chicken, fish, whatever, right? Shellfish, whatever, right? And you're eating whole carb sources from vegetables and some fruit, right? And it's just the stuff that you can get from nature, right? Then that stuff isn't processed, obviously, and it's not going to contain added sodium, right? So now, let's just call that Adam's diet or Eve's diet, right? They're just eating stuff that's available because they killed it, or they caught it, or they picked it, right? No added salt, no added sodium, but sodium is important. Salt's important in your diet, so you have to supplement it, right? So it makes me sad when people are concerned about having too much sodium, because one, their doctors told them they have high sodium. They have high blood pressure and they need to cut their sodium. But two, it's because they're not eating a clean diet. You're right. And cutting the sodium is not the issue. Clean up your diet, and then you won't have any issues with high blood pressure, and you won't have to worry about tracking your sodium and your salt. Because guess what, when I'm done cooking that steak and those eggs, and I throw salt on it, it's so freaking delicious, folks. If you're not having salt is so delicious. Right? Yeah, and it's not just that, when talking about nutrition, right? So now it's not just salt that's a problem for these people, right? And the recommendations and the advice they get. Then they're also told about things like I'm not gonna eat meat. I'm like, okay, why? Is it because it's kind of a religious thing, or is it because you have this idea that you're saving the planet, right? It says, oh no, but if it's not those two things, then it's because they tie eating meat to high cholesterol, and it's like, but you don't even know what cholesterol is and why you care about it. You're one of two things. One is you have a doctor that's told you that that's a problem, right? I don't agree with. Or you've just been given guidelines from friends, family, some material you've read somewhere, or something on the internet that said high cholesterol is a problem and you need to stay away from meat. Makes me sad. I don't believe that to be true. It's stupid, right? Yeah. And I get in conversations with folks that kind of start out talking about things like sodium and cholesterol, and then when I just kind of start to ramp up to kind of get more into it, then I could see that they're not interested in talking about it, and that makes me sad, right? So somehow I need to figure out how to say something like, ooh, that's interesting. If you like audiobooks or if you like reading, I highly recommend, some titles, around why cholesterol isn't a problem and why we're told to care about it so much and what it all means. Or, why we're so concerned about sodium and how important it is, and why has it gotten a bad rap the way it has, stuff like that. But I also think I can't change anybody, which is true. And I can only change myself, and I can only inform my family and influence my family. And if anybody really cares and is interested, then they'll hear, or somehow they'll catch it. But I can't monitor what people catch, what they pick up on. Early on in this podcast, I thought like I was doing people a favor and trying to share that information, but I'm kind of tired. And to be honest, part of me says, you know what? Natural selection. The survival of the fittest, right? Unfortunately. What is that going to mean? It means that it's already happened. People that I care about, they've gone through the path of the recommendations to be concerned about things like sodium and cholesterol and other stupid stuff, because and that often is tied to getting on a program of pharmaceuticals and drugs, medications, right? Oh, and it really, really makes me sad. People are told to not eat the things that isn't good to repair their body, that's nutritious for their body, that has high nutrition. They're told to eat stuff that's void of nutrition, right? Or stuff that actually leaches nutrition. I don't know. And then they're told instead, in addition, take these drugs. Right? It's so dumb. How do you kill a plant? Don't put it in good soil. Don't put it out in the sun when it needs sun, and don't give it water. That's what people are doing to themselves. Right? What for? What for? You know what for? It's so that they can hear their doctor say that their lab results, are okay. Just keep what you're doing. Right? No one who's on like 3 or 4 of these medications who are eating poorly is going to really measure really healthy in their labs. Why would they? Right? They're that plant that's not being watered, that's not sitting in soil, and it's not getting watered. And getting sun. Why would it show healthy? I said, oh, okay. because you're showing these unhealthy symptoms, we're going to give you more medication, or we're going to modify your dose, or we're going to give you additional stuff to deal with that stuff. Oh, your leaves are wilting and they're dying. Let's go add more medication. Now let's sprinkle salt in your soil. No, not salt, because salt's bad. Let's go sprinkle, I don't know, sand. So dumb. Yeah, right on. I'm gonna pause. All right, I'm back. I needed that break. So that I don't get lost. And give me time to sort of kind of breathe and realize, okay, I kind of want to talk. I kind of want to bring it down. Yeah, I guess bottom line is the survival of the fittest. Even the people that we care about, may not make it out of this as we'd like. Meaning, what does it mean when they don't make it out of it? Meaning, they're not. They're going to fall victim to bad dietary advice or guidelines, and they're going to fall victim to the pharmaceuticals, the medications, that kind of stuff. So, okay, so then, and it's already happened, right? There's people that I've cared about that were in my family that have passed, and I know that, if things were different, they'd still be around, or they would have at least enjoyed life differently, Yeah. So how do I become part of the solution? I can't, right? I'm tired, right? People have to figure it out for themselves. I can kind of point you in a direction, but I'm not going to kind of hand it to you because, but I get it, right? But I'm a listener of your podcast, right? We're friends, right? So you should help me out. So, okay, this is what I can do, right? Long ages ago, right? And ages ago, I put a resource page on my website, ruralsrunning.com. There's a resources page. I rarely ever touch that website anymore. It's just there. But the resource page should still be there. So yeah, go through that and then find something. Those are those at the time, and they still apply as long as the links aren't dead. My recommendations at the time and still recommendations today, right? Maybe there are some references to some podcasts that either don't exist anymore or kind of changed their topics, but it's okay. That I'm talking about, look for books, audiobooks. And if you find audiobooks, there's going to be a corresponding book. So look for that. Stuff around nutrition, stuff around cholesterol, stuff around salt, fat. You'll if you happen to stumble on that page and go through the titles, read up on their summary and find out if it's talking about nutrition, if it's talking about stuff like that, then that's where I'll point you. If you need to point someone else to material that's been out there, then that's stuff that I don't often talk about. But yeah, check it out. And if you were, even without those resources, right? If you hear from me, or if you hear from others, or if you do your research and find out, okay, what's the big deal about cholesterol, right? Maybe do that kind of search. Is it good or is it bad, right? The default mindset is that, oh yeah, there's good and there's bad, but that's already kind of like the mainstream thought. But look for information that comes from like food science folks, right? And find that alternate view, and then things that'll tell you why it's not what you think it is, and it's worth kind of digging in for yourself. Because the last thing you want, right, is like bad things happen to you, and you're far along kind of this trajectory of unhealth, and then you say, but no one ever told me. I says, right, no one ever told you. Because no one ever told you, and no one's been telling you the wrong information. No one's a problem. No one should have been in the business of making food guidelines, government. Right? Anyways, so don't wait for no one to tell you. Be your own no one and tell yourself. Yeah, that made no sense at all. So, going back to family, there have been nights where I've just been had like a really bad night, or bad series of nights, and there were those nights where I was just really exhausted, and I didn't want to, tell the kids or remind the kids, lights out, get ready for bed or whatever. I'm just too tired. It's like, my feelings were, I'm just going to tell you once, then I'm going to go to bed. And I'm not going to remind you guys. I'm just sick and tired right now. Literally sick and tired of having to remind you guys that it's bedtime. And, and my feelings are like, cause and effect. Right? If you guys want to screw yourselves and get to bed late, not get enough sleep, we're still going to wake you up when you need to get up. You're just going to feel worse than you've ever before, because you've had a lack of sleep. And if that lack of sleep causes you to lose focus while you're in school and you do poorly, that's all on you. I'm not going to waste my energy trying to help you solve that, right? And this is just my thoughts, right? My feelings, right? And because again, I'm sick and tired, literally sick and tired. And if your lack of sleep gives you that lack of focus that causes you to do poorly in school, which causes you to fail that class, and you have to take summer school, or even worse, across the board, you just fail and you flunk, right? Then that's all on you. And guess what? That extra year of school, or that summer school that you had to take because you didn't choose to sleep on time, you're going to have to reimburse me for my time somehow, having to deal with you, having to do these makeup sort of grades or classes. So there, right? I'm just done, right? You guys know how to get to bed. I shouldn't have to remind you. You shouldn't have to depend on that. You need to learn. Yeah, that's tough. The one thing that folks don't tell you about being a parent is being a parent. When I grew up, it was there's only so much that your parents can tell you because they're limited in their experience, and then it's just all left for you to figure out, which is fine. In this world, none of us are really in our situations, we're not the first to be in that situation. There's been people with difficult times and worse, right? I'm not the only parent in this world. There's other parents that are dealing with their own stuff. So play. What are we talking about? Oh, you know what? Speaking of family, one of the cool things that I'm doing with my youngest, with my daughter, is playing chess with her at night. It's kind of cool, right? And I'm not a big chess player. I can play, but I'm not competitive in any way, and I'm not like a hyper thinker about it. I just for it being time spent, and I like. My daughter is 10 now, and she's interested in playing chess with me, and I like that because it's something I can do, and I recognize it's an opportunity to spend time just focused on an activity with her. A lot of times, if it wasn't for that, it'd be like we would just sort of be existing at home, watching something on TV, or I'll be busy, decorating cookies and or she'd be playing with her toys, right? So that's all well and good, but there's also an opportunity that could be created that she's creating, where she's asking me to play chess with her, and we're able to spend time focused on what we're doing with each other in a game of chess, or a couple of games of chess. And what's cool is I downloaded the chess timer app. I've never had to play with a chess timer before, so it's cool. We both on each side have a certain amount of time that we get to make our moves overall, and so we know whose turn it is, kind of deal. But aside, along with spending time with my daughter, it also is an opportunity for me to see, oh wow, she really knows how to play chess. She's really being mindful and strategic with her moves. I mean, she's not waxing me, but it also, what that does is it allows me to get insight on how she thinks, right? And what it also allows me to do is coach her on how to beat me. Not like I'm hard to beat, but I just been playing chess longer than she has, so there are things that she's yet to catch on the board that could be happening with the, and there's stuff that mistakes I make, but I coach her about certain moves and what to look out for. So basically trying to coach her to anticipate, and how you can move to elicit a response so that you could set up a situation, that's more favorable. So, practicing that stuff, and it's cool. It's cool. And you play 2-3 of those games right before bed. It actually is, it's a nicer way to wind down because there is no screen, right? She'll get tired sitting upright playing chess, and that she'd be like, okay, I'm done, and be more receptive to just lying in bed and going to sleep, versus if we were looking at screens, and that'll just kind of not help get her into a direction of winding down. So yeah, so that's cool. transitioning into workout stuff. So that was kind of like family and play. We already covered a little bit about food. Workout wise, I have the treadmill and it's gotten some use, and it's I have to figure out how to get more use out of it, and it's fine. Again, because there was a chunk of time being sick, and also dealing with sick kids. Yeah, the kids caught the flu too, so having to care for them and dealing with their absences from school and tracking their recovery, it's just so. I need, now that I've got a level of health back, need to figure out how to make more use, get into a pattern, of using the treadmill. Otherwise, it's like, this is dumb, right? I've fantasized about having a treadmill and how much running I'd be able to put on it, only to get it and it's just kind of sitting there. That's like a nightmare, right? So dumb. But even more recently, though, in terms of workout, I'm sort of revisiting some of the martial arts stuff, and I've gotten pretty excited about it, and that's sort of one way that I've done in the past to sort of want to get back into exercise, and that's by training in martial arts. So I've been putting on YouTube videos that relate to some of the subject matter around the certain types of martial arts, and I'll have it play in the background while I work, and it's kind of cool because there's a bunch of stuff that I learned years ago that I forgot about, but having these videos play in the background and me hearing and being reminded of them feels good. Certain techniques, ranges, of engagement, and certain techniques, and some reasons around doing certain techniques. Even got me to a point where I started looking around for, I wonder if there's a club or an organization nearby that I could join or participate in, just to re-engage in all of this. So yeah. The Filipino martial arts is something that I never really planned on learning, which is kind of weird, with me being, Filipino. There was just, I guess, mainstream popular martial arts at the time when I was growing up was always other stuff. So, and the Filipino martial arts not being as popular as those things. So it wasn't until later where I started recognizing it, and then where I had the opportunity to learn stuff that I wanted to learn, coupled with Filipino martial arts stuff. So yeah, pretty exciting. I like, you guys are like, God, this is so boring. I'm talking about martial arts. I don't know. I was just thinking, as we get up in age, as I get up in age, I'm not as quick on my feet as I used to be. And maybe that's just because I'm just out of shape. And I can be quick on my feet like I used to. But let's say I just get old. And let's say I do get quick on my feet, but then I become slow on my feet again. Right? Learning stuff that I learned from Filipino martial arts, can allow me to be quick with my hands. Right? And so I'm like, okay, if I'm an old guy and I can't be quick on my feet and I have to deal with the situation, at least I'll be quick in my hands to deal with the situation. So for now, train, be quick with my hands, get a level of exercise, because there are things in the training that build up the upper body that I ordinarily don't get to do when I'm running. So, but I'm not giving up on my feet. Yes, I do wake up in the morning and my feet hurt. That's just part of I guess getting old. But I could still skip a rope. I just need to get back into the regular routine and use that level of training to get me quick on my feet, like the boxers do. But then, have the feet of a boxer and have the hands of a Filipino martial artist isn't a bad thing. Anyways, yeah, just thought I'd share. Yeah, so sometimes I'll have an old tire hanging in the garage, and I'll have my Eskrima sticks. They're my rattan sticks, and I'm working out. Like a boxer with a heavy bag. It's a Filipino martial artist with an old tire and his weapons, just knocking the crap out of the tire and burning my hands, my wrists, my forearms, my shoulders. Something about getting a big old stick and whacking a tire with it, and that contact and that vibration, and the sound, there's something about that similar to when a boxer hits a heavy bag the right way, and it has a certain sound, has a certain feel, similar to a Thai boxer who does a roundhouse kick on a heavy bag, and if it's hit the right way, there's a certain sound that there was power in that hit. Good stuff. So yeah, and then I've trained on the tire in the daytime while my wife was working at home once, and she comes into the garage and she's like, I can hear you. I'm like, oops. Yeah. So there. Other stuff that I want to learn to do is, like, I want to set up a you guys are like, God, what's wrong with you, Ruel? Okay, I want to set up a target in the backyard, and get a good set of practice throwing knives, and just kind of like practice working on throwing sharp objects. Right? Because it's quiet, right? It's not noisy, right? Then once it's kind of like that movie Dodgeball. If you can dodge a wrench, you can dodge a ball. So in the scene, someone has a monkey wrench and it throws it at a guy. So it's kind of like, if I can throw some blades, some throwing knives, then in a day-to-day situation, if I ever need to, I'll just throw a random object and be on target. I'll throw a stapler or something. Yeah. There you go. That was good. Let's work out. Anyways, that's all I got, guys. What's remaining? Oh, I picked up a quote I thought I wanted to share. Let's get out of the way out of these semi trucks. Whee! The quote. This one covers. Let's say so. But they think my hat is stupid, right? That's, I guess, the example. It's the example about caring about other folks' opinions, right? So the quote that I'm really getting to, if you keep that in mind, is, "It never ceases to amaze me. We love ourselves more than other people, but care more about their opinions than our own." And that was the end of the quote. So, yeah, I thought that was worth sharing. It never ceases to amaze me. We love ourselves more than other people, but care more about their opinions than our own. What do you think? That quote is Marcus Aurelius. Yeah. Picked that up from some place called the Everyday Stoic. So, I don't know. All right, folks. I gotta get back to where I need to be. And I appreciate your time. I appreciate you tuning in. And I'll catch you on the next one. And if you have the time, go back to the old episodes and see what other nonsense I have to say. All right, take care. Hug your friends, hug your family, eat something delicious, and run. Something. Bye.
Do you need a website? If you're an individual, a consultant, a group, or small business and need a site, or maybe you have an existing site, I can help. How about graphic design? Do you need a design for a t-shirt, logo, product, business cards? Maybe you need help with designing and developing a brand. I'm not an expert, but I do have the tools and the techniques to get the job done. How about a podcast? Yep, like this thing. This thing's a silly little show. Are you looking to set up a podcast of your own? Are you looking to reach an audience? Promote your business via podcast? Well, Abadam Studios. That's right, Abadam Studios. Yeah, so that's Abadam Studios. AbadamStudios.com, AbadamStudios.com. Check it out.
Thanks for listening to Ruel's Running Podcast with Ruel. If you like what you just heard, share it with your friends and your enemies. Also, be sure to check out the site over at ruelsrunning.com. This has been another Coffee with Heavy Cream production. Join us next time for another silly show of Ruel's Running Podcast.